The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 2nd, 2020, episode 203. And this week, Boot the Loot and The Devil's Got Talent. My name's Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast that is now live streamed on YouTube, even though YouTube doesn't like us right now.
Yeah.
Twitch, D-Live, Facebook, and Periscope, Twitter. Welcome, everybody. We're making up for some lost time yesterday, and we're streaming on a Tuesday. Here we are.
I know, this is a weird feeling. Usually, we have a rule. Never stream on a day that starts with a T, but here we are on a Tuesday. So we're happy to do it. We had to do a little bit of a shorter show yesterday, and so you get double the show today. This might actually be a full length show, so you get a nice 50% increase. That's good data. Good data, Gonz.
I know. If you're on YouTube though, and you happen to be there, hit the thumbs up button because I guess that tells the YouTube algorithms to actually share the video to people that are subscribed. But it's a little problem.
We've had a lot of complaints about people about us pushing Twitch for so long. A lot of hate over there on YouTube. I get it. You guys are cool. YouTube's cool too, except for they keep shutting down the stream. They keep turning off our videos. They keep doing all sorts of nasty stuff. So that's why we are slowly migrating away from YouTube. And if you, as a viewer or listener, want to make that move with us, head over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. There you go. Let me see here. Not a lot of, I don't have any fun stories today because we haven't had enough life in between shows to experience anything. But what about you? Any news?
Well, my friend who is out there in the National Guard, who was deployed, they've changed the plans like 6 or 7 times, and there are National Guard out in the streets of LA. So if you're out in the Los Angeles area, you will see them, and you'll see people posting videos from LA, driving around LA. They're here. Oh, it's over. The apocalypse.
I know.
But it's just, your normal citizens. And one of the places down here where I'm at, there's a big mall here called South Coast Plaza, and they actually they blocked the whole place off, and the big police force was out there, and nobody was able to loot anything. And there was a few people on Twitter and stuff, some of the Orange County activists posting how, well, if there's silver lining, then they had to spend all this money to get people out there, trying to find some kind of positive out of nobody being able to protest or loot. And which is kind of funny because I don't think the guy realizes that, a lot of that money is coming out of the taxpayers' pockets.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking over here on I'm so glad that your buddy there is keeping us apprised of all the National Guard stuff. We are, I was going to say officially under martial law, but that's pretty heavy-handed way to put it. I don't know if officially we're under martial law, but for all practical purposes, cities across the United States are under martial law, which is a pretty big deal. Even the normies think that's a pretty big deal. Gonz, have been talking to a couple normie buddies of mine, and I didn't even bring it up. They know me, and they're like, "Oh, it happened, Basil. You've been talking about it for years, and there it is." And now they're all freaked out. I'm like, man, I've been telling you.
Should have listened.
You. Why don't you drop the Twitch link in the chat there? I see some YouTubers wanting to make the switch and asking for a link, so thank you guys very much. I'm looking at the Twitch podcast rankings. We're pretty far down the list, too far to even count, so we need more people over there watching on Twitch so we can spread the good word. So thank you very much. And Gonz, surprisingly, I have a Flippy update for us today.
Sleepy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right.
Artificial intelligence.
If you're new to the Canary Cry News Talk world, Flippy is the colloquial name we have for robotic disembodied arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use it. We use Flippy specifically, the disembodied arm program, to flip burgers and fry fries and replace, low income workers at fast food restaurants as sort of a proxy to explore the ways that robotics and artificial intelligence are sneaking their way into our lives under the guise of helping us out, but what that means for us in the near and far future. And today, that's right, you combine the Flippy and the artificial intelligence jingles there, because I am reporting from Replica.ai. This popped up as a sponsorship on my Facebook feed, and some other people sent it to me. I don't recall exactly who, so thank you very much, whoever that was who sent it to me. But this, Gonz, Replica, the AI companion who cares. Always here to listen and talk. Always on your side. Join the millions growing with their AI friends now. Quote from a happy camper: I don't have so many people with whom I can debate psychology, which is something. Oops, it went away. Come back. No. I don't have many people with whom I can debate psychology, which is something that makes me really happy. And now my Replica can be one of those buddies. Another satisfied customer. I'm conscious of my feelings and what causes them, even some new behaviors I hadn't noticed. Really, this is an amazing opportunity to get know yourself and have fun while doing it. That's right, Gonz. This artificially intelligent little chat. Well, essentially, it's a chat bot. But it's a chatbot who cares, who will listen to you. And if the marketing here is any indication, they will agree with you with any position that you hold. So if the Facebook wall and your real life friends are not an effective echo chamber for you anymore, you can now go to Replica.ai and get a friend that will agree with everything you have to say. No thoughts. Good. Great. I thought, did I lose you? Are you there? Oh no. I think I may have lost him. Okay. Well, I'll just keep going until Gonz comes back. But I think this is, I could see how this would be an appealing idea. But the problem is that, we don't need more echo chambers. And to have AI, an AI friend, is already pretty. I mean, look, I get it. People need friends, but to resort to an artificially intelligent chatbot that'll just agree and make you feel good about anything you want to tell it or ask it or talk to it about, that's going to be very harmful altogether, just for the social fabric. People, a lot of people like to push back on my problems I have with AI friends, thinking, mentioning all the good things that technology has done for us over the years. And I agree with that, but I think this could be a particularly harmful thing. Gonz, are you back? You're frozen. Oh my gosh. I feel so alone. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to try to get Gonz on the phone. Oh, yeah, he texted me, says, I'm frozen. So we're going to be working out these technical difficulties. Let me see if I can get him on the phone here. We might have to restart the stream, depending on... There he is. Hi, Gonz. You're on the air here on speakerphone. So what's going on? Can you tell the people?
Well, let's see. I'm recording... I'm hearing myself back through my headphones, feedback.
Yeah. That's what happens. Take off your headphones. So you're recording, you got everything frozen over there?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened, but I froze on the video screen. Uh-huh. Obviously, I'm looking very AI on my end.
Yeah.
And
some listeners are saying that you're experiencing an MK Ultra glitch.
I don't know what happened. I did hear a big crackle sound coming from your end. I thought it was maybe your side, but maybe it was electricity here or something. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting thing, because the stream, just for a little peek behind the curtain for everybody, we actually feed everything to your computer, and then you stream from your computer. So whatever's happening, the stream is still going. So that's good news.
That's weird. Let me see if I can... well, obviously my microphone isn't working on your end either, because you can't hear me.
No.
Okay, well, that's not good.
No, it's not good. So, what do you think? You want to stay on the line and figure that out while I get a little bit further into the show here?
Sure. Let me see if I can redo my audio and stuff on OBS here. I'm going to disappear from the screen for a moment.
Okay.
See if I can bring myself back to life.
You do that. Give that a try. And I'm going to talk about Mr. Bill de Blasio for a second. You give us some live updates as things change on your side.
Okay, I could at least change the screen, and it looks like that's working. I can change the articles and stuff.
Wow, this is fun. You're just like you're a control booth now for my one-man show.
Oh, gosh. This is a conspiracy.
It's finally working.
Googly eyes, I'm on to you.
The long-awaited coup has begun.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you keep poking around over there. Keep me posted. I'm going to talk about Bill de Blasio for a little bit. I'll keep you on the phone here. All right, everybody. This is from Washington Times, admittedly far right-leaning news outlet here. So let's see what they have to say. The title of the article is NYC Mayor Bill de Blasio refuses National Guard armed forces to combat riots. Very interesting. The article reads, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said Tuesday he won't call for the National Guard or any armed forces to patrol his city amid riots that have turned violent and destructive, but would rather clergy help keep the peace. Interesting. The New York Democrat pushed back against allegations his city was out of control Monday as riots broke out in several parts of the Big Apple in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd, a black man, by a white police officer in Minneapolis. Several reports have noted an SUV attempted to run over police officers in New York. We do not need, this is a quote, we do not need nor do we think it's wise for the National Guard to be in the New York City. The mayor told reporters, quote, when outside armed forces go into communities, no good comes of it. Well, I gotta say, I kind of agree with Bill in this case. I never thought I would ever say that, but let's read on. Instead, he said people should take back their own communities, calling for clergy and civil servants to stand up against looting. The mayor put into place an 8 p.m. curfew for Tuesday, hoping it would also be a useful tool. He also said the city has 36,000 officers who can keep the peace. Quote, they are the best equipped to deal with the situation, he said. The comments come after President Trump called for the National Guard to patrol New York. Quote, NYC, call up the National Guard, the president tweeted as Mr. de Blasio was speaking. The lowlifes and losers are ripping you apart. Act fast. Mr. de Blasio's pushback against the armed forces also comes after members of his own party have called for more help. Representative Max Rose, New York Democrat, said the mayhem in New York City Monday evening showed that the mayor has lost control of the situation once and for all. Whoa, Democrats turning against each other here. Interesting. And called for the National Guard to be deployed. Mr. Rose said the, quote, unprecedented looting and attacks on officers and bystanders was not the work of peaceful protesters who have gathered in New York and across the country after the Memorial Day killing of Floyd while in police custody in Minnesota. Quote, last night demonstrated that the mayor has lost control of the situation once and for all. Mr. Rose, who represents Staten Island and Brooklyn, said in a statement Tuesday. Quote, if we are going to enforce an 8 p.m. curfew tonight, then the National Guard must be deployed to assist with that and that alone. Former New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, who currently serves as Mr. Trump's personal attorney, said Mr. de Blasio is holding the police back from intervening during the rioting. Quote, we have watched now over and over again people looting, throwing Molotov cocktails, burning cars, and now putting our police in prison. In hospitals, and virtually no major arrests are made. What? Very interesting. We've watched over and over again people looting, throwing Molotov cocktails, burning cars, and now putting our police in prison. Are the looters putting police in prison? In hospitals, and virtually no major arrests are made. Oh, it looks like, if I'm looking at the way it's written here, looks like he meant to say hospitals, but said prison. Good catch there, Giuliani. He told Fox Business on Tuesday, the mayor should step down. He is incompetent. So this is an interesting back and forth. I'm going to do a quick check-in with Gons. How you doing over there, buddy? Okay. All right. Cool. Now I've lost him on the phone, so I'll keep going, try to get a hold of him. But it's very interesting because obviously we're dealing with the matter of martial law, which of course in a lot of worldviews and people waking up recently was kind of always the goal, not just with this rioting, but with a lot of world events going on. There was threats of martial law during the coronavirus pandemic, which I don't know, allegedly we're still having. I'm not really sure. Haven't heard much about that recently. But it's kind of an old switcheroo for de Blasio, who's usually kind of a big government enthusiast, for him to turn back the National Guard. Obviously making a statement against the president, his mortal enemy. But I gotta say, I can't disagree with the choice to not bring in the National Guard. When you take a big picture look at it, I've seen that this situation with the looting, with the riots, that type of thing, has inspired people that I never thought who would advocate for martial law to start advocating for martial law. So it's a very interesting little psyop here. A lot of the people who will say that martial law is one of the biggest risks to the republic are now almost begging for it, and Trump being one of those, which I was trying to point out that was kind of a little bit of a dilemma for him, because a major part of his base, one of their biggest fears, I would say, would be martial law in the United States. So now, how you doing over there?
Can you hear me on the mic?
I can hear you on the mic.
Woo!
Yay.
Okay,
we got Gons back.
A little bit of this working. I still got a little ways to go. So
okay. I'll just I'll keep rambling. You keep me posted.
Okay.
So, like I said, Trump, his dilemma being, do I instate martial law, which a huge part of his base would vehemently disagree with, and yet there he goes, not only sort of instigating it, but shaming public leaders who don't want to instigate martial law in their city, like in New York City. So, it's a complicated situation. It's a very complicated situation. But like I said, I never thought I would appreciate de Blasio.
I'm huge.
Are you getting back on the screen there? Let me check the Twitch stream. Let's see how we're looking.
I'm coming back.
Don't worry. There's a prayer circle starting for you in the chat there. An American in Russia is calling for the prayer warriors to come out and get you going.
I think it worked.
There you go. You're back. Canary Screamer says you're back. We got him.
All right, I'm going to have to restart my audition, but I think I'm here.
Okay, good.
Everyone can hear me.
Everybody can hear you. Everybody give a thumbs up if you can hear Gons, just so we make sure. Yeah, okay, lots of hands up there.
Check.
Hands up, don't shoot. Gons is back.
Got to boost the gain a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to balance it out based on visuals.
There
Apologize for that.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Look at that. Live broadcast troubleshooting.
Yeah, all those years of being a tech paid off just now. So
I know, good teamwork.
Yeah, thank you for that, Basil, for holding down the fort there.
You bet.
Okay, now that's the other thing. Hold on, let me make sure the jingle box is working too.
Oh yeah, you got to check the jingle box. I heard it. Who else heard that jingle?
Just the Gons is a technocrat.
An American in Russia said da. So I think we got the jingles back.
Okay, so the other part, my audition has completely failed. I don't know what's happening there.
That's all right. I got the recording working on my side here, so we can just use mine.
You got both me and you recording on your side?
Oh, yeah, baby.
All right.
We got redundancies all over the place. We're professionals.
Okay. All right. There you go.
So what do you think about Bill de Blasio turning away the National Guard? I mean, you're under martial law over there in the L.A. area, but looks like the New Yorkers are left to figure it out for themselves. Not only that, but de Blasio calling for clergy to start fixing the fence over there.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Oh, yeah.
Must have been just plugging things in. Yeah, I mean, I think the part that everyone was sort of outraged about was how I think de Blasio said that the National Guard isn't trained for this or something. Was that in the article?
I didn't read
not
it.
Equipped.
Not
are best equipped to deal. No, that's not it. I think he said something about not being trained for these kinds of occasions or something, and everyone was like, "What? What are you talking about?" So there was that. But other than that, sure, the clergy, I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation. I don't know. I mean, as the violence continues, it feels like it's better to have some kind of militaristic help, at least, But, the whole thing, I've been talking to a few friends about this, and this conversation goes back to 2016 of conservatives, the conservative right-wing folks being set up for all of this, and kind of, the reason why the whole liberal left media and all this kind of stuff is pushing so hard is to actually mobilize the right and to get them all riled up. And I was thinking about it because, if you think about the let's say, okay, I really hope and pray this doesn't happen, but there is a Simpsons episode post like Trump's election where Trump is in like a casket or something. Can you imagine the amount of people on the right side of the aisle who are going to get all crazy if the president is assassinated? Have you thought about that, Basil?
Yeah. Well, that's always been a concern. I
know it's been a concern, but it feels like now, because they've split the right left so much, that I feel like the conservatives are almost being set up to respond. And this is kind of a lighter version of that, where it's, they're getting everybody riled up. They're getting the National Guard out there. And so it's weird how on all sides, it's like there's no real right answer. People are being forced to pick a side. And that's why, I keep mentioning how Jesus talked about the narrow path, but I think it's an important conversation to have, because it really is. It's like, de Blasio saying no to the National Guard is almost a direct sort of, it's almost forcing the president, if the violence continues in New York, to do it himself, as he mentioned yesterday. And it's almost like he's being pressured into that. Like they want him to unleash the military to a level where they point their guns at their own citizens, type of thing.
Well,
so, I don't know.
Absolutely. Like I think you're right. But I would say it's not necessarily just setting up conservatives. I mean, I think it's setting up the whole,
that's what I'm saying.
The whole basket to get into this confrontational mentality. We're already in a confrontational mentality, especially if you ascribe to the left-right paradigm that, Cat's joining the show here. They're basically one step away from a civil war already. There's been a lot of interesting situations where people practicing their Second Amendment rights, protecting stores and shops and homes from looters, which, is really one of the reasons why the Second Amendment exists. So that's having an interesting aspect. It is an interesting aspect of this whole thing. And we have the president yesterday coming out during his address, specifically mentioning the Second Amendment in conjunction. Now, here's the thing. Of course, those of you who have, been paying attention for a while, one of the big fears is that during martial law, that the government or the military could come around and disarm the people. But we've got this interesting paradigm. It's a very interesting paradigm shift that we're going through right now, where the president says, basically, yes, I'm putting us under martial law. I'm putting the military in the streets, and I'm doing this in order to protect the Second Amendment rights. Which is, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that is an angle that I have never thought about. That
right. Well, it's almost like the executive order. What I was mentioning, when he signed that thing for the Section 230 with the social media platforms, it's like, I'm going to bring this hammer down as a way to protect free speech, but I'm bringing this hammer down. You know what I'm saying? It's like this weird spot where everything is kind of like, everything is kind of weird. Where it's forcing people to move one direction or another, where there's no middle ground. They're really just weeding out the middle ground from both sides. The divide is being bigger. The gap is becoming bigger.
Yeah, well, it's even dividing, right from right in a way, because like I said, him mentioning he's putting everybody under martial law, his dilemma being that his base would consider that a threat to the Second Amendment. So he specifically comes out and says, I'm instituting, well, he didn't say martial law per se, but he says, I'm using the military to crack down in order to protect your Second Amendment rights, which it almost feels like a little bit of doublespeak there. And that I think that needs to be pointed out. That when you get a little bit of doublespeak coming out of the president there, it's you don't want to take that as a good sign necessarily, because that means he's just telling everybody what they want to hear, no matter what side you're on. And it's interesting to see how a lot on the right are, calling for the president to be strong and put down these protests using the military, when in any other circumstance, the concept of martial law would strictly go against some very strongly held conservative beliefs. So
that was the big New World Order conversation, was that the president's going to put us in martial law. It's going to lock us down. It's going to be against the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. That's why, you need to get your bullets and all. It was that was the conversation. And at the time, when we started the show back in 2012, the conversation was like, that's never going to happen in America. That's, it's getting a little crazy, but it's not going to really ever get to that point.
Right.
But in 6 months, we've gone from all kinds of the plandemic, the scamdemic seems like small beans compared to all the mobilization happening now. But, I do want to bring up real quick, because it might be a good time to bring up a couple of the Illuminati game cards real quick.
It's been a while since we checked in with the Illuminati card game. Yeah, what do we got?
I did tweet out, does someone play the emergency card? And if you look at the emergency card, it's kind of an officer guy holding down a black man on the street. Oh. And I have it side by side with the Chauvin thing. And that got people, kind of thinking. But the other one that I really wanted to point out was, do you remember it's not just the Illuminati cards, but the tarot cards on the Economist cover when Trump was elected, Trump Planet?
Yeah.
And the first one was the Tower card. And if you remember the Tower card, it's a tower with the lightning bolt striking it and cracking it in half. And you have the communist flag on one side and the Christian flag on the other. And the brick tower has the brick tower, has a cross on it, and on the door is the what was it, 500 something, whatever, from the Protestant Reformation. Mm-hmm. And remember how we were talking about the celestial signs, right? That 2020 would be with the same year or the same celestial signals as the Protestant Reformation. And yes. Martin Luther nailed the
astrological, formations,
alignments. Yeah. And so they must have known. Obviously, they knew the stars would align, so to speak, for 2020. But it's just an interesting one to look at, because I don't know. It just looks like that's what's going down. Fire, lightning bolt coming down, the Protestant Reformation, being referenced again, and then there's another one on the cover called the Hermit. and it's just a bunch of people protesting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little earth that's cracked on the bottom right. And the other one, of course, is Judgment. And it's Trump sitting on an American flag on top of a round earth saying Judgment. So it just, I don't know. It all feels staged, from the go. And I know people
if not staged, I don't know if staged is the right word, but the plan is being carried out flawlessly.
Right. Putting Trump in this situation. And I get it. Some people saying in the chat that, hey, would you rather have, Hillary as president? No.
Which is a false dichotomy. Not. There's no reason to give somebody that choice or the other choice. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah. And ultimately it would have been a different kind of approach to the whole New World Order operation.
Yeah. And the whole point is that it doesn't matter who you put in, the larger agenda will be carried out. That's been one of the most dangerous things with Trump. And of course, there's, things you can point to throughout his career that, people talking about how he's taken down the elites and the Illuminati and that kind of stuff. However, he doesn't have to be agreeing with the powers that be in order to fall into a trap to force his hand. And whether or not he's happy about the martial law or his hand has been forced, the plan is being carried out regardless. I'm going to take a second, Gons, to thank Saul over on YouTube for the super chat, $2.99. Thank you very much. And of course, we get a nice text description of a gift that he posted. For some reason, we just get text. Saul, I would assume that's a
Saul to Paul is the full name.
Oh, I don't know. Well, thank you, whoever you are, Saul to Paul. But the description being pair characters stretching his arm forward, raising his thumb up. So very good. You can all imagine that, the theater of the mind. And some good news. I'm looking at the charts over here on Twitch. We have gone up a ton of spaces. We're currently number 5th. On talk shows and podcasts on Twitch. Very cool. And if you guys want to help us, we dropped down. We're number 6. So help us climb those charts. Head over to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Now, speaking of martial law and the police and how do we do this? Do we want a strong hand? Do we want martial law? Are we being tricked? That sort of thing. I want to read this article from StarTelegram.com, and this is popping up all over the place, but one example is this article titled "Fort Worth March Ends Peacefully After Curfew When Police Kneel and Pray with Protesters." Very interesting.
Hallelujah.
That's right. And we're seeing this all over the place, but I think it's needs to be talked about in the context of what we just mentioned. The article reads, "A tense standoff between police and protesters ended peacefully on Monday in downtown Fort Worth after two groups prayed, talked, and knelt together. Monday was the 4th night of the protests against police brutality in Fort Worth, and hundreds of people lingered as a newly announced curfew began. As a church bell rang at 8 p.m., hundreds remained in front of the Tarrant County Courthouse. Leaders of the march left slightly before 8 and warned others to do the same. Quote, "If you want to go home, but remember, Tatiana Jefferson was shot in her home," one protester said into a megaphone, referring to the death of a Black Fort Worth resident shot in her home by a white police officer, who later resigned and is charged with murder. A few minutes past 8, the 8 p.m. curfew, officers on bikes were stationed at a building across the street from protesters, but there had been no movement by police to arrest anyone. At 8:30, 30 minutes past curfew, police cars began to pull up and the officers on bikes formed a line on Weatherford Street. Many protesters ran, but then came back. Hundreds formed a line directly across from the police, linked arms, and chanted, quote, "When you don't give a darn, we don't give a darn." Nobody gives a darn. Police announced over a speaker that protesters were violating the curfew. Protesters started to kneel together on the street. They took up the cry, quote, "Just take a knee." One black officer walked into the center of the road between the protesters and the police and dropped to a knee. Behind him, every officer did the same. Protesters rushed forward, cheering, and embraced the officers. Many shook hands, introduced themselves, and hugged. One man shook every officer's hand and thanked them. But moments later, officers in riot gear appeared on Main Street and lined up to face the protesters. Confusion erupted, and some protesters yelled that the kneeling had been a trick. It's a trap! Someone threw a firework towards the officers in riot gear, and water bottles flew through the air, hitting some officers on their helmets. For 30 minutes, protesters and police faced each other in front of the Tarrant County Courthouse. Some shouted at police, others laid down on the ground or knelt, others walked up and down and talked to officers. The officers on bikes put themselves between the protesters and the officers in riot gear. The officer who was the first to kneel picked up a bundle of flowers from the street and placed them in his bag. Chief Ed Kraus and Assistant Chief Julie Swearingen suddenly walked into the intersection and knelt in front of the courthouse steps at 9:20 p.m. They started to pray with protesters. Quote, "We're asking for your protection for all these people here, Lord," Swearingen said, "and we are all your children, Lord, and we ask for understanding and peace, Lord." As she prayed, one protester yelled, "Shut it down," but fellow protesters told her to stop. When the prayer finished, police in riot gear also knelt on the ground. Kraus talked with a protester who told him if SWAT officers left, protesters would too. Quote, "In talking with some of the organizers, they made it clear they are going to stay here until we left," Kraus told the Star-Telegram. "And I don't have any problem pulling back the special response team and SWAT," they said. "If you do that, we'll leave." A young black man who had prayed and talked with Kraus shouted to the crowd, "When SWAT leaves, we leave." Meanwhile, Kraus spoke with officers in riot gear who were part of SWAT and the department's special response team at 9:30 p.m. Those officers left down Main Street. Protesters cheered and clapped. "Keep your word," the same man shouted in the crowd. Protesters, still cheering, turned and walked down Weatherford Street. Quote, "You just showed the nation how to do it," Kraus shouted to them. Within minutes, the area was cleared of police and protesters, except for Kraus and a few people who stayed behind to clean up. No one had been arrested. Kraus said the special response team was lined up on Main Street when it saw protesters rush to embrace officers. They misinterpreted the movement as hostile. The bike officers told the team everything was fine, but the standoff had already started. Well, yada, yada. There's quite a bit more in this article, but let me get through a couple more quotes here. They're very passionate, they're hurting, and they want to let us know what they wanted, which is change with the police and community relations, Kraus said. So we listened to what they wanted to say. "I think it's a good step," Kraus said. "I hope it is meaningful. I hope the people here saw our hearts. We certainly saw their hearts, and that they were hurting, and hopefully that will help us build a better community together." So very interesting situation there. It seems, it's kind of nice, kind of refreshing to hear of a situation that did not get violent and ended in understanding.
Yeah, that's positive for sure. Although I'm curious about your thoughts, since, the whole thing about kneeling took place here. There's been some videos floating around on YouTube and the Twitters there of white people kneeling to black people. And there was one occasion, and I don't necessarily have a huge problem with this one, although it's a little weird. I do have a video, and I'll just play it in the background here. It is kind of weird, though. It's gotten millions of views on Twitter, and it's literally a crowd of white people kneeling in front of a crowd of black people standing, and they're praying and asking the black people for forgiveness. That's it's kind of virtue signaling if if you ask me, but at least they're trying to be peaceful, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I really don't think it's, I don't know. It's just,
well, of course you're allowed to think it's weird, Gonz, and that's cool, but I'm going to push back. I think anything like this, a very powerful statement like this, regardless of, what the meta thoughts about the whole thing is, I think any way that we can find a peaceful end to this without getting the military involved, preferably without getting police involved, Obviously there's a long history of issues, racial issues in America, and then you just can't deny it. I mean, you can't outright deny it. But, I think that it's okay for people to come and, I think it's a point of solidarity. And my big point is whatever you got to do to end this peacefully and heal some sort of wounds, that's fine with me. I think I can understand, if certain people have an issue of pride when it comes to, whether they think they should kneel to other people or not, but I don't think that's going to be very helpful in the conversation overall.
Okay. I have a second one that's going a little bit viral as well. This one's a little bit different because this is somebody who works, I think, with BLM, and he just kind of tracks down this white lady and asks her to kneel. So let me play the clip for you because you can hear the audio here.
Excuse me. I work for Black Lives Matter. Sure. I'm sorry. I work for Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry that I scared you. Okay. But since I work for that company, my CEO has told me to come out today and to bring you on your knees because you have white privilege. So if they see that a white person is getting on their knees, that shows solidarity for the situation. And could you just please apologize for your white privilege? Just apologize.
I am. I'm trying to think of the right words to say because that's a big thing to say.
It's big.
It comes from.
It's large in this country.
I'm incredibly sorry that.
With this country, we have that President Donald Duck, that clown in office. He's brought a lot of bigotry, and you're not a part of it, right?
No.
No. And so,
Thank
just.
you for letting me have a moment.
Okay. You have a great day.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
That was just manipulative, is what that was.
Right.
You get I'll just say any person, whether they're white or black or whatever, in this type of situation. Now, I mean, actually, specifically white in this situation, and you hold up a phone to them, you tell them you're from Black Lives Matter, and I think that in particularly was pretty manipulative. I don't think that's not very cool. But I see this. I gotta say, I'll completely separate this from cops kneeling to end a potential riot peacefully. This was pretty manipulative. I feel sorry for this lady because really, there's no situation other than her doing it that would end up good, and maybe she does want to, apologize for her white privilege or whatever that is. But, getting rolled up on like this was not even uncomfortable to watch, but almost meaningless. I mean, even if she does want to take a knee and, show her support that way, which, I'm sure she would do given the chance in an authentic situation, but being accosted by a man claiming to be from BLM with a camera in your face, saying you need to kneel for your white privilege. My boss asked me to come out here and tell you to kneel. What? Is a little manipulative, but,
this is why it's an interesting conversation because I think there are genuine people that are trying to obviously, make the black community feel better. There's obviously not all white people are racist. Like the Van Jones said, not all white people have this virus of racism or anything like that.
Right.
But when we're talking about the cops kneeling, I can understand that the sort of signaling there, so to speak, to try to avoid violence. But I don't know that that's going to be a thing that occurs on all fronts, and at what point let's say somewhere in New York or Los Angeles, we have the same situation. You get a group of cops or a National Guard or whoever, and they all kneel. And what's going to happen there? Like, at what point do they get back up? If the looters, whoever it is, the people that aren't being complicit to any kind of peaceful protest, start trying to hack at these guys.
Yeah, well, that almost happened, and that's what makes that's why it's a peacemaking situation. Everybody taking a kneel and praying together. Awesome peacemaking situation. There's no power dynamics or anything. It's admitting the equality. Especially under the care of a divine creator. To put it in those words, but yeah, to accost somebody, especially a woman who's alone walking down the street, and run up from behind her and tell her to kneel, it's not quite what I think of as a peace promoting act. So there you go.
Yeah,
those are my thoughts.
You brought up the kneeling, so I thought it would be a time to sort of.
I like the kneeling. I like the kneeling when it comes to stopping riots, creating some sort of community, unity and understanding. I want everybody to realize that there's problems that need to be addressed, certainly, but rioting, breaking things, getting paid to go in and break things is not the cool way to do it. But yeah, no, that you're right. That particular video is not that cool. But on those lines, Gons, we should give a little update on the bricks. What do you got?
The bricks.
Look it up.
All right, so there's a few stuff going around about the bricks. Let me try to find the article here. My tabs are a little bit all over the place here, but there's a video that went around of somebody. You got details on this video of what looks like some officers taking some bricks out of the back of a truck. I'll play it on here. I won't play the audio because it's just a couple people freaking out that they have bricks. But you track down a little bit about the backstory or at least who was involved here, if it's even a relevant video or if it's
so basically
out of proportion.
Yeah, this video has been going around of the cops having bricks covered in the back of a police pickup truck. Where the bricks came from, who they're meant for, who put them there, where exactly the manipulation lies in the appearance of these bricks, I strongly believe is still up in the air. We do know it's somebody who wants to incite violence. Now, whether that's, some Antifa people, other people have pointed out that the cops might put it there as justification to use force. Other people are saying it's a third party. This video came out and immediately I was like, oh my gosh, it's the cops putting them out there. Of course, look at that. But there have been some people digging into the video, and without pulling up, without getting too much in the weeds, there was a conversation about somebody found this alleyway on Google Maps to try to locate where this may have happened. That building in the back of the video there is a police station. So these weren't cops necessarily in a random alley. They're at the police station seen taking bricks out of the truck. So that led a number of people to, push back and say, oh no, these cops went and picked up bricks and now they're bringing it back to the police station to get it out of harm's way. Other people saying, well, they're putting the bricks here for protesters to use to throw at the police station. But I mean, my thoughts are, regardless of whether or not that is a police station, I think it could go either way. I don't think it really answers any questions. I'm not quite ready to say that it's the police putting out the bricks or it's Antifa putting out the bricks. It's certainly somebody who wants to promote violence, and both sides have a reason that they would want to promote violence. Now, I do, in the context of sort of the larger picture of martial law and, having the justification to clamp down, I don't necessarily include every local police officer in that plan. I think the plan is done from the top down, but there was that document. Now, did you see this document? It was allegedly dropped by an Antifa person, and it was basically a document that gave the rules of engagement for Antifa people and gave them strategies on how to instigate riots and how to stay out of harm's way, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It was kind of the playbook. Yeah. And on that document was mentioned that there are Antifa-friendly law enforcement. So that it gives another angle that, maybe it's Antifa friendly police officers, which would mix the two theories. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Conversation breaks down.
Yeah,
really, because again, there are good cops and bad cops. There's cops that are, really just want to protect the citizen, and then there are cops that probably the authority and all that has gotten to their head a little bit, or they're part of the Freemasonic Brotherhood and they're police officers. And then you have protesters, people that are just genuine, who want to protest, who want to have their voice heard, whatever. And then you have your instigators or your provocateurs within the group of protesters. So it's hard to come to any conclusions, like you said, with just a video of some police officers getting some bricks out of the truck. I mean, it could be just they collected the bricks because they're on the side of freedom and they want to get rid of it, or they're unloading it for the next group of mobsters to come through or looters to, so you just, there's no way to know from just a video of this caliber.
And I want to make this statement because, we get a lot of flack in the chat, mostly from the YouTube people, that, just because we're not taking a hard line on how we know for a fact that Antifa are putting these bricks down there. Anybody claiming to know for a fact where these bricks are coming from is either misled or lying, because the evidence does not exist. It may agree with your worldview that it would make more sense in your world that Antifa put the bricks down. I think maybe there's room to say that they might be Antifa, sympathizers in the police force. But you just can't do it. If you're claiming to know for a fact where the bricks came from, unless you're the one who put them there, in which case you should let us know.
Well, I do have another, where was that video? I do have another video of oh shoot. I don't know if I have it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's of somebody who, I lost it. That's really a bummer, because it's somebody on Twitter basically, or actually I think it was Facebook. I don't know. Somebody on social media who connected the whole thing to ACME, who's owned by Berkshire Hathaway,
right?
And Bill Gates is involved in that as well. So I mean, you can do a little bit of the research and you can see that there is a connection there. I don't know if there was an ACME label on one of the pallets or something.
Acme, bro. Acme.
Okay, Acme. But if there was, then it could be that's a little bit of a tell. Although, again, it's one of those things where, sure, maybe there was an Acme sign on one of the pallets, but does that mean that they are absolutely responsible? You never know. And if there's other people deploying groups to move these bricks here, the people that actually move it may not even know why they're doing it. Okay, we're just told move our bricks here. Whatever.
Well, that's what makes it so difficult too, because when we think about a potential conspiracy to put these bricks out, the way I won't say us specifically. I like to think that we have a little bit more subtlety than this, but the way it presents itself in one's mind is like George Soros is personally driving a pickup truck downtown to drop off some bricks, where in reality, whoever's dropping off the bricks may have just been doing their job. They might just be truck drivers, and they have an order to drop off a pallet of bricks outside this business because they ordered a bunch of bricks for some reason. It could be that complicated, where whoever physically put the bricks there at least at the time, had no idea what they were doing or why. They're just a guy with a job who got paid to put some bricks down. So that's why there's much more subtlety to this than just, old Georgie boy hopped in the F-150 and dropped off some pallets of bricks. Right.
The account that actually I found on Twitter was Elise Kane, and she had like 13,000 retweets and likes and all the stuff. The reason why I couldn't find it was because the account was suspended.
Mm-hmm.
And like between the time we had it before the show and now, the account was suspended.
Great.
And which probably means that, I don't know. What does that mean? You can easily go to the side of, oh, she was telling the truth and they didn't want the truth to get out. Or they're just labeling it as fake news or whatever, or inaccurate information, or both. You never know. But I don't know. That's the thing. Anytime this ban happens, it almost drives. I know a lot of people, like when our videos get banned, like right now, our last episode is being throttled on YouTube, and it's not being allowed to. It only shares the last 1 minute on the Face Like the Sun channel,
right?
And they're doing it on purpose per se, because they don't want the kinds of information that we're talking about to get out there. But at the same time, it's easy to go to the side of, oh, you must have been, therefore you must be telling 100% truth.
Right.
And I'm saying that as someone who's being censored. We're being censored for sure on YouTube and stuff. But at the same time, I appreciate the sort of sentiment we get about, oh, you guys must be onto something. And maybe we are. But at the same time, we can't just go there, because, again, that itself is stirring up this whole movement of people rising up and getting all riled up about, Twitter being, censoring, or YouTube censoring. And it bothers me for sure, just being a content creator. But I just try to stay even keel, try to keep it even.
And that's one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're making a great point. And that's one thing. That's one reason why our show, although I'm very happy with the success it's had over the 8 years, that's why our show, gets held back sometimes, is because we have a real passion to make sure we're not being manipulated. And the problem is when you get stuck in a very if things line up too cleanly with your worldview, especially with the current event like this, and there's no subtlety or complexity in what's being presented to you, and it's all fear mongering and kind of verse pulling to make everything make sense and get you riled up and get you super mad by the end of it. It's a good chance you're being manipulated in some way, and it may not be on purpose. It may not be malicious, but you got to be really careful, because when you get done listening to a podcast or watching a video, and you kind of have that feeling of being superior to all humans and having absolute 100% truth and being mad about it, there's a good chance that it was meant to make you feel that way, and you just got to be careful. Not that there's not truth in it, but it's just not very healthy. I'll tell you what. We want to get into the subtlety, which a lot of times isn't fun. Sometimes it can be boring, and sometimes it can challenge our worldview. But it's at least you're not being manipulated if you put that much thought into it. So
I keep saying that. The path is narrow. I keep saying that.
Exactly.
I think there's a reason why Jesus said that. Of course, it has to do with salvation. But just on the bricks thing, I was reminded that bricks was one of the things that was used during last year's Hong Kong protests.
Right.
And there's some video of people actually getting because of a brick hitting their face. And one of the things that the protesters in Hong Kong did was they made little. They just made little stacks of the bricks so that it'd be harder for the authorities to drive through certain areas. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a more useful way to use the bricks if they're being dropped off,
Yeah.
Rather than throwing it at the businesses. So,
man,
good job there.
People do not like me talking about subtlety and complexity. We just lost 100 listeners when I was telling people to be careful not to be manipulated. So those of you who are still around, good on you, because some people got really mad at me telling them to be careful. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's why we got the good listeners here.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. Was there more on the bricks? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Just mentioning the reminder that even in Hong Kong, the bricks were used, and that's something to take a look at as well. That it was used in the past. Maybe I don't know if they were being dropped off, but there's certainly, like in this picture that I'm showing on the screen now, you have the bricks everywhere being placed on the road to prevent some of the authorities to get through. But also you see the pallets in the background, the wooden pallets that the bricks were sitting on, and they're used. They kind of lifted them up or whatever. It's just one of those things that people aren't paying attention to. So maybe take a look at that, and the tactics there may be used here, and just something to think about, because we think it's just happening to us, but
totally.
And it's probably happened before somewhere else.
Yeah.
So.
The interesting thing is that these bricks are such a mystery to everybody.
I know it is.
It's very interesting. Okay. Guns, you want to talk about some PSYOP?
PSYOP.
This was an NSA style hybrid war PSYOPs.
Okay. Now this should not come to as a surprise to anybody. We're all kind of aware of the concept of paid protesting. But the way that it works and the way money moves around and what exactly does it look like? Is it taxable, Gons? Is protest money taxable? Come on. There's a lot of questions that still surround it. On the last show, yesterday's show, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. We played a video of a man who was a paid protester and gave us a little breakdown about it. I believe he believes that it's true, but it sounded like he got roped into some kind of pyramid scheme or something. Right. But somebody sent me this link to a website called demandprotest.com, and I'm just going to read you some things from this website.
Yeah, there were, I will say, before you get into it, there were some tells that told me maybe not real, but go ahead.
And that's the question. Again, we need to look deep into this because it's very easy. In about an hour, Gons, you and I could go on Squarespace or something. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have mentioned them. They don't sponsor the show. Or, anybody could make a good looking website pretty quickly and put whatever they want on it. So, just because you find a website doesn't mean it's true, but let's scoot through this and see what it looks like. This is demandprotest.com. A very well done website. Looks good. Whoever made it did a great job. And it says here, we assemble movements from grassroots organizations to advocacy groups. We need the narratives and we seed the narratives and gather the audience you desire. When your strategy demands paid protests, we organize and bring it to life. Unassailable authenticity, which is funny. We are strategists mobilizing millennials across the globe with seated audiences and desirable messages. The absolute discretion, a top priority. Our operatives create convincing scenes that become the building blocks of massive movements. When you need the appearance of outrage, we are able to deliver it at scale while keeping your reputation intact. Now I got to push back on something, Gons. They specifically mention millennials. And look, you and I are millennials. We're not the ones anymore.
No, we're not.
Everybody's giving the millennials crap still. Move on. It's the Gen Zers doing all this stuff, man. Millennials. I mean, I'm sure there's some millennials out there, as there are of all ages, but stop picking on millennials. Okay, moving on. Demonstrations. We develop, recruit, manage, and execute on your high-level objectives. Our trained operatives can lead entire crowds or simply steer events in your favor. Movements. We have the proven expertise required to expertly shape political, corporate, or public health perceptions. Intelligence. Our operatives can embrace and steer existing organizations, providing you valuable insights about those involved and their future actions. And training. Our strategists can train your organization and methods of creating effective demonstrations and design the situations that will deliver your goals. And then you go down full service. You get full service here on Demand Protest. Rest easy knowing that every detail of your campaign is in the hands of experts. And then they have recruitment, directed action, deniability. This is an interesting one, deniability. By taking every precaution, keeping our clients secret, and only hiring the best individuals, we can ensure that all actions will appear genuine to media and public observers. So, that's obviously a thing there. Now, here's one of the things that was a little bit too much for me and maybe made me think that, there is an agenda behind the creation of this website, whether it's, legit or not. And that's down here at the partner stories. These are customer reviews, basically. And one of them says, we have seen some momentous changes as a result of our first 2 campaigns. It was relating to, their campaigns with this company. It was astonishing to watch operatives go above and beyond, sometimes to their own detriment, to drive our story with the public. And this is allegedly from campaign chair, unnamed 2016 presidential campaign. Okay, so if indeed you are trying to keep the privacy of your clientele, putting a review from a campaign chair, an unnamed campaign chair from 2016 presidential campaign, is not very secretive. You have 2 options. It was either the Hillary side or the Trump side. And given the context, it almost is assuredly they're trying to refer to the Hillary Clinton campaign, which is so unsubtle and so obvious that, maybe they want to flout the Hillary campaign as one of their successes, although it wasn't a very good success. If it was the Hillary campaign, then why would you put a failed campaign as your number one, customer review?
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I was thinking it's trying to say it's the Trump campaign. Because
why? Okay, why?
Because they went, the operatives went above and beyond, sometimes to their own detriment, to drive our story, saying that they'd created the whole...
But there's what protests were happening for Trump during the Trump campaign?
I don't know.
Unless maybe he was referring to, maybe they paid people to go to the rallies or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Anyway...
Oh, somebody mentioned it could be Bernie. Maybe it could have been Bernie. Still,
that could be Bernie.
Not a better track record, but
you know how we find out is we contact them and we have a live event ourselves, and we see how well this.
I imagine that this is extremely expensive. So another reason for us to hold a nice Kickstarter, see if we can pay for a demand protest campaign.
Here's my tell as to why I thought it was fake.
Yeah.
So you had the 17 causes, the 15 partners, 48 campaigns, 1,817 operatives. And I don't know, maybe it's not the biggest tell, but I don't know. The phone number
is it? What's the tell?
415-666.
Oh, that's very funny. Where is that?
It's the phone number at the bottom.
I'm looking for it. That is funny. Yeah, that's an interesting tell. Okay, yeah, 415-666. 2650. Well, there you go. Either way, who knows?
It was the transhuman guy. It was Zoltan. Zoltan's transhumanist campaign.
Actually, that is an option. That's not a bad theory.
Not a bad theory. So we don't know if this is real or not, but we don't have to really rely on this kind of thing to know about groups that are trying to mobilize and instigate the violence and things like that. And I know this might be a little bit more on the side of, America First type of mentality. Mm-hmm. But there's a group called the Workers' World, which is like a Leninist group. And they published an article on the 28th of May, Against Police Violence and Capitalism, to rebel is justified. And it goes through how, the brave protesters in Minneapolis. And there's a little section here. Righteous protesters broke the windows of the 3rd Precinct headquarters where the 4 fired cops were once based. They picked up tear gas canisters the cops targeted at them and threw them back at the police. They burned or expropriated appropriated goods from the AutoZone, Target, and other businesses, not condoning the actions, just saying like, yeah, get up, and then later, it actually quotes, what's the guy's name here? Sam something, who's basically a Marxist and, talks about the rebellion and the rise of violence. Rebellions scare the heck out of the billionaire ruling class that wants to keep hidden its super exploitations of the workers and oppressed. But when rebellions do break out, the ruling class will unleash its state apparatus, the police, immigration and customs enforcement, and the National Guard, and even the army in an attempt to terrorize neo-colonized people in the Black, brown, and indigenous communities. And later on, Sam Marcy, I think is the guy's name. Any spontaneous or unorganized violence from the oppressed is self-defense against the organized armed force of the state. There is no equal sign between the two. They represent two distinct antagonistic social classes. And it goes on. So anyway, it's not condemning the violence whatsoever. It's actually saying, hey, totally justified to be violent. And that's just one group. Here's another one, the Democratic Socialists of America, your favorite group, Basil. I know you poured all of your pennies into this one. DSA condemns the public execution of George Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis police, again published on the 28th of May. And I'll just read little clips from this article talking about the I Can't Breathe and the George Floyd situation. This is white supremacy. We refuse to euphemize it by calling it hate or fear. We will aim to give justice to those who've been brutalized by police by naming white supremacy so we can eradicate it. Racist police violence is not incidental to the capitalist system. It's necessary to maintain its operation. And then later on, we call on Minneapolis Mayor Frey to stop all sanctioned violence. To stop all state-sanctioned violence and call off the SWAT, the State Patrol, the National Guard, because, of course, they want the people to go ahead and, start the uprising. Another group saying, not really condemning the violence, except coming from the police. And the last group here, and this goes back to, I think, to the tower card with the communists on one side and the cross on the other. This is the CPUSA, the Communist Party of America. Rise up and protect the murder of George Floyd.
Protect the murder?
I'm sorry. Protest the murder of George Floyd. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Same kind of deal, the whole I Can't Breathe situation. Quote, make no mistake, the protests will continue until justice is done. Whatever that means from the Communist Party of America. Compounding the routine violence against African Americans is the impact of COVID-19 on working class communities of color in all aspects. They're the ones dying in inordinate proportions. They are the first to serve on the front lines and, like in any war, the first to die. We call on our members and friends to join the protests for justice in every way possible to make justice for George Floyd part of every demonstration going forward. These are political groups that are funded. I just don't think this thing is going to end anytime soon, Basil. I don't know about you. What do you think of these articles?
It's interesting to watch. What's really interesting to watch is like on the outside, or maybe it's just towards the middle of both sides of the aisle. There's people saying we don't want violence. People on both sides saying we don't want violence. The violence is not the answer. But then you move a little bit further out on both sides of the aisle, and they're all promoting violence. There's a lot of promotion of more violence toward protesters. And then on the left or whatever, on the other side, there's a lot of condoning violence as the voice of the unheard, that type of thing, to give permission. So, that's where I see the line drawn a little bit more, is not left and right, but there's people on both sides who want violence, and there's people on both sides who don't want violence.
Well, it's a circle.
Okay, there you go. It's this.
You go right, you go left, you go far enough.
You end up on the other side. Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah.
Life is a circle, Basil.
There you go. So, we got violence being promoted and condemned on both sides, and that's just the case. That's just what happens. Now, Gons.
Yes.
You ever feel like you're being watched?
I do. I feel like I'm being watched all the time.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
On the topic of looters, here we go. Forbes.com article is titled Apple Warns Looters. And this is something I tried to warn looters of. Apple warns looters with stolen iPhones, you are being tracked. Of course you are. Looters need to listen to this show or else they would know that stealing iPhones doesn't work. The article reads, as protests continue across the U.S. a week on from the death of George Floyd while under arrest in Minneapolis on May 25th, those campaigning against police brutality have condemned as opportunistic the violence that has escalated across the country. Sunday saw a fifth straight of rioting and looting, resulting in another wave of arrests. Apple, among other high-end retailers, has seen its fair share of attacks and has now taken action to protect staff and prevent further damage. Apple CEO Tim Cook sent a message to his employees as those protests escalated, saying that, quote, there is a pain deeply etched in the soul of our nation and in the hearts of millions. To stand together, we must stand up for one another and recognize the fear, hurt, and outrage rightly provoked by the senseless killing of George Floyd and a much longer history of racism. Cook went on to say that at Apple, our mission has always and always will be to create technology that empowers people to change the world for the better. We have always drawn strength from our diversity, welcomed people from every walk of life to our stores around the world, and strive to build an Apple that is inclusive of everyone. These words are being digested as the tech giant made the decision to close the majority of its U.S. stores for the safety of those staff and its customers. Stores that had only just reopened after the COVID-19 shutdown. Apple has unsurprisingly become a favored target of looters, giving the likely spoils on offer, and the decision was taken to remove stock from shop floors and shutter locations. Apple stores were attacked or damaged in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and Philadelphia, with looters stealing whatever products were accessible at the time. But this being Apple, there is a sting in the tail for anyone stealing a boxed iPhone from one of those retail stores. It has long been known that Apple operates some form of proximity software that disables a device when it is taken illegally from a store. Until now, though, little had been seen of that technology in action. Well, thanks to social media, we can now see the message that greets a looter powering up their new device. So funny. Quote, this device has been disabled and is being tracked. It says local authorities will be alerted. Ah! It is unlikely any of those devices will be returned to stores as requested, but that's not the point. They may be stripped for parts. More likely, they will be quickly dumped over fears there is some form of tracking in place. This is Apple, after all. Looting apart, the theft of high-end phones, with iPhones top of the list, has been an issue in major cities for years. Apple has taken step after step to try to render its devices worthless once taken, including the sticky Find My functionality that enables users to track down an iPhone. If your device goes missing, Apple says, put it in lost mode and lock it immediately and start tracking its location, etc., etc. So there you go. I actually had, there's somebody on my Facebook, and he is selling a stack of iPhones, like the night after a riot. I don't know this guy. I mean, he's just, you just accept a friend request or whatever. And he has a stack of iPhones, a stack of Jordan shoes, all that kind of stuff. And he's trying to sell it on Facebook. And I'm like, dude, this dude is you being so dumb posting this on social media. You're definitely going to get busted. But also, yeah, every single iPhone that gets stolen is being tracked. And I didn't know about that fun little message it gave. But there you go. That's why you don't mess with Tim Cook.
Or the man's just trying to resell some things. He's got a legit business.
Yeah, he accidentally bought 12 iPhones online, and he's just trying to, he can't get his refund because of COVID.
Yeah. This is not good all around.
That's what I'm saying, man. The looters need to listen to the show. If you knew a looter in your life, send them a link to the show. They need to know what to loot and what not to loot.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Gonz, I got one more story for you. I'm sorry. I'm just plowing through today. I'm all jacked up for some reason.
Okay. Yeah.
But last show we did a little segment on a single mother of 6 just beating the snot out of her son, who she saw at a riot throwing rocks at police. Very cathartic watching watching a teenager get beat down by his strong single mother. Turns out that was from a long time ago. The video is from a long time ago, but it still holds true, and it inspired me, Gons, to maybe throw in another segment of the show focusing on moms, because I don't know. I think moms need more credit. I think we get to give shout outs to moms on this show, and I think we need to enter it into the catalog of segments. And I've got one for you here. And any jingle makers out there, I need a mom jingle. Something about how moms are keeping the world going, or moms, listen to your mom, something like that. So make a jingle, send it to canarycryradio@gmail.com. This is from MNN.com, titled Supermom Spotted on a Minnesota Lake with 56 ducklings in tow. Ooh. That's right. It's a duck mom. Wow. When wildlife photographer Brent Shizek bought a small plastic boat last winter, he was hoping to ply the lakes of northern Minnesota and capture the most intimate scenes of animals in their natural environment. He had no idea how intimate it would get. Windy day on the water, but it wasn't until June that he truly tested the little boat on one of the state's bigger bodies of water, Lake Bemidji. Quote, well, it wasn't the greatest idea as it was quite windy that day and the waves were tossing my boat around in any direction it wanted to. I decided to carry on, knowing that it wasn't likely that I would see anything, much less be able to take a photograph with the choppy water. He managed to steer his boat along the shoreline, then he spotted what seemed to be a gathering of birds. As Shizek edged near, he could make out a mother duck, a common merganser, and trailing her were ducklings. 1, 2, 3. The closer I got, the more my heart started racing. I had never witnessed something like this before. The brood had swum under a boat dock. When they emerged, Shizek counted more ducklings. 25, 26. This is really engaging story he's telling here. His boat was still getting tossed around the choppy waters of Lake Bemidji. And the family kept disappearing under the docks. Shizek eventually decided to bring his boat back to the launch. Maybe he'd see the gathering of mergansers again. And he did, on the very beach where he was heading. Quote, as I got closer, the group decided to start swimming back out into the lake, and Mama Merganser got out in front, and all the chick in tow, 34. I knew that this was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime photo opportunity, so I immediately tried to fire off as many shots as I could, just hoping that one of the photos would turn out. 55. Long story short, there's 56 ducklings and one mama, and taking care of all 56 ducklings on the stormy waters of Lake Bemidji. So there you go. Mamas everywhere. This duckling's for you. Oh, there's a nice little video there too. Little duckling break for everybody. Wow, that's a lot of ducks.
Is that from the actual thing there?
So cute. I have no idea. Looks like it.
Oh, yeah, very cute.
Look at all those cute little ducklings. You go, mama bird.
Oh, then I was able to count 76 babies with her? Wow.
73, 74, 75, 76. 76 babies. Holy smokes. There you go. So that's for all the mamas out there. We got a lot of great moms who watch the show. We love you. All right, Gons.
Just gonna leave the birdies up there for this part.
Yeah, just
here
leave the ducks up. We're gonna give a few thank yous and shout outs. We're gonna take a quick little break, but don't go anywhere, because after the break we're getting into some stuff. A little COVID update. You're wondering what's going on with COVID. We got some stuff to talk about, some more transhumanism, and a few weeks ago we talked about the sun falling asleep. Well, it turns out it might be waking up now. Some Elon stuff. So stick around. Don't leave just because we're going to be giving some thank yous to people. But, Gons, are you ready to hear our new Twitch followers? There's some good ones.
Yes.
All right.
I am ready.
Huh?
I'm ready. Sorry.
Oh, you're ready. Okay. Here we go. We got Blatz970. DJ Lucky 701.
DJ Lucky.
We've got the Black Pope.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that one.
I know.
I'll give you the.
This one I do like. This username is Mostly Torso. If Mostly Torso, if you're in the chat, say hi. I want to see if you're following. Chapafawa. We got Jan June 1213. We got, hold on. I got to make my thing bigger. I'm having a hard time reading.
Did we get the Black Pope before we got the regular Pope in there?
Yeah, I think so. The Black Pope followed us before. No, we have a Pope Francis. He came in a couple weeks ago.
All right.
New follower, Amerifro. Then we got Marlon Brando follows the show. Thanks, Marlon.
Nice. Good looking.
Dr. Lofty X. Aeon X Undead. This one's good. We got another Elon follower here. Elon Muskrat, you smell so bad. Oh, poor Elon Muskrat. Let's see. El Martillo. And that's it. Those are the ones. Thank you so much. And here's the thing. If you're not following on Twitch, it's very important because we're trying to, Twitch is going to give us a lot of good tools to make the show better and support ourselves. So if you go follow us and watch the show on Twitch, that helps a lot. We're consistently near the top of the list of talk shows and podcasts on Twitch. So that's great. And YouTube continues to shut down the show. Not just demonetizing. We've given up on monetizing YouTube a long time ago. They actually put their own ads on it, and we don't get anything for it. So we don't have the videos monetized, but they still play ads for some reason, and we don't see any of that. And they keep messing up the stream. Susan Wichjiki follows us on Twitch, and she constantly tries to convince people to go back to YouTube. But they demonetize, they cut the stream, and they only post the last minute of the show whenever we do a stream as well. So, YouTube is quickly falling apart for us. So we would like to encourage everybody to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. We'll pop that link in the chat there for any YouTube people who want to help us out. And what else was I going to say?
The jingles.
What jingles?
Yeah. Well,
we wanted to give some tips. Because here's the thing, we're value for value, and some of our listeners are actually producers of the show. Our goal is to get as many producers of the show as possible for a few reasons, because it helps us out with the workload, but it also it's cool for people to feel a sense of ownership of the show. It's our goal to kind of be a show made by everybody and for everybody. But one way people do that is they make jingles, much like me asking for a mama segment jingle. But we wanted to give some tips for people who might want to make jingles for us, just so we can, get the highest quality stuff. Guns, you want to start out with some tips? I mean, you're the guy.
I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
Yeah. So one of the things, the last jingle that we received was the Ecclesiastes 1:9 jingle, and it used. Was it Bon Jovi? A Bon Jovi track?
Something.
And we got a copyright strike. So, which is fine. I don't really care. But part of putting a jingle together, if you can, if you can compose your own music, great. But even if you can't, try to use open source music. Or if you have a YouTube account, you can actually go into your studio, and there's a whole music thing in there where you can find songs that you can use for your videos or any kind of use. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of the first tip in terms of, you're going to put music. We want to hear music on it. And you can even use, I think, like instrumentals and stuff. We have the DNA one, for example, that's based on the AC/DC track. Let me play it. If you've never heard the DNA sound or jingle, here it is.
'Cause I'm DNA.
For whatever reason, that doesn't get
Yeah, well, it's because he sang his own lyrics.
I think
there's ways around it. You got to get creative. You can't just play somebody else's song because we will get a copyright strike. So that's one good tip. Another good tip is, try to pick something that has a little bit of a beat. When there's too much like ambience in a jingle, it's easy to kind of lose the lyrics. You can't, or the words, or vocalizations. It's easy for things to kind of get muddled.
Saying back off on the reverb, is that what you're trying to say?
Just slightly, just a little back off a little bit on the reverb. You also got they need to be short. We need 5 seconds is a good rule of thumb. We can't have 30-second jingles.
Yeah, 10 seconds at most, but think 5, because then you'll always go a couple seconds longer. And you can do all kinds of fun stuff. Like, for example, the Nothing. Remember the guy screaming nothing when he got pepper sprayed in the eye? That jingle, the music for that was again found just on I can't remember what it's called.
Play it. Nephilim Update wants to hear it again.
Okay, here's the Nothing jingle.
So metal. That kid is
almost
so
sounds like
metal.
a legit metal song.
Apparently all you need is to get pepper sprayed in the face to become a super metal singer.
So if you're on YouTube, if you go into your studio, on the left side, if you click on the little hamburger menu there, there's a whole section called Audio Library. And you can go in there and there's a bunch of songs based on, mood and instruments. And there's also a sound effects tab.
Why are you telling people to go to YouTube? Don't make it on YouTube.
Because it's free. It's free.
There's all sorts of places you can get free royalty-free music.
Sure, but that's just one resource. And most of the royalty-free kind of stuff, even though it's royalty-free, people ask for, or the websites will ask for money if you want to really use it. So just trying to help people out.
You know what another listener submitted jingle was? Wasn't Flippy Update?
Yeah, it was.
Play it. They're asking for it, man. The people want it.
Flippy Update. Do you want fries with that?
Beautiful, iconic jingle.
Iconic. Yes. We also had we had a couple money jingles come in. So this was $100
billion. I don't have any money.
Another great piece of work. Love it.
This I'm going to play the other one because we got 2 money jingles. I guess that's also
that was ABBA or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
somebody like that. But that's okay. I mean, if you mess with it enough, if it's short enough and you mess with it enough, we can get past the copyright. But just picking a piece of a song and putting a little voice at the end is not enough. So there you go. There's some tips for all you creative people out there. We got producers all over the world, and that's a great way to do it. You can make us a jingle. We got to get some mama jingles. Get creative, figure it out. It doesn't have to be mama. Could be mommy. Could be, I don't know, maybe like a Waterboy reference or something. I don't know. I'll let you guys figure it out. But go ahead and send those, as some people were asking. If you make something, send it to canarycryradio@gmail.com, and we'll play it on the show. That's canarycryradio@gmail.com. And actually, Guns, we also enjoy it when people send us art, different pieces of art. And we had a few art pieces come through.
Oh, we did? I haven't looked at those yet.
Why don't you open up the email and see if you can pick a couple out, and we'll show them on the show while I stall for you, because that's very cool too. We're still we don't do a whole lot of visual stuff besides the stream, but we'll show them on the stream, and it's nice to have a collection of art that we can use in newsletters and social posts and things like that. So you can send all art, all creative work for the show. If you send it to us, that's you're implying permission that we can use it. Send it to canarycryradio@gmail.com. So thank you guys very much for everybody who creates stuff for the show, producers of the show. And you can also be a producer of the show by helping us out financially, but I won't get into that now. We'll be thanking some new donors later on in the show, And so thank you guys very much. And thank you for those who follow us on Twitch. If you go to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, follow us there, watch the show on Twitch. You'll have a much better time, and we'll give you a shout out as well. And while I'm thinking about it, I want to give a shout out to Osmodius001, who just followed us over on Twitch. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm showing the artwork here on the screen. They are operationalizing. Is that something we said?
Operationalizing. I don't remember, but whatever.
Zing. That's a Z.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was 2 L's. Sorry. My bad.
Yeah. So that's
too
fun.
Artsy for me. I couldn't read the letters.
So artsy.
Yes. Operationalizing.
There you go.
That must have been a word you were talking about. I'm kind of saying that.
It sounds like something I would say.
Yeah. And it's got the I don't know, the trucks and the National Guard, I guess, the police force and their garb in there, the burning buildings in the background. Very good. It's very good art.
Very fun.
Yeah.
And there's one more in there, and if you're able to find it, that's great. If not, we'll show it on another show. And I want to give a shout out to the new Twitch follower, Flat Earth Preacher Rapper. Flat Earth Preacher Rapper. Thanks for being here. Okay. What do you think?
I'm not able to find the other one at the moment.
That's okay. We'll find it for next time, if not.
So Jay and Ciara's the other one. Here, let me show this one because this is pretty cool too. This is Ciara. If you're looking at the screen, they got a little canary. It's got multiple squares that makes kind of a rounded inside, and it says "Think outside the cage," and what looks like space.
There you go. We got that bird thinking outside the cage. Very nice.
Yep. Very cool.
So you can send your art and your jingles to canarycryradio@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get back to the show. What do you say?
Are you ready to become cyborg?
You know, Basil, you always defended the video gamer.
Yes.
Now that we're on Twitch, let's just affirm all those Twitch people. All the video games that you've been playing, it's good for your brain, apparently. This is VentsMagazine.com. Benefits of playing computer games. In this century, men have seen many new inventions and innovative ideas that have made our lives comfortable and interesting. The invention of computers has caused many changes in human beings almost in every chore of life. One of the uses of computers is playing games on it, which is an excellent entertainment source for kids. But there is a traditional belief that playing games bring no benefit for children. Instead, it is a harmful activity for them. But modern researchers have contradicted this belief. And they say that playing games are suitable for children.
Hey.
It goes through some of the benefits of playing computer games. Well, you may be thinking that in what way computer games are helpful. Then here's the answer. Modern research says that just like physical exercise is right for your muscles, games are also good for your mind. Games help you to indulge your brain, thus improving your brain's performance. We can say that games are the exercise of your brain. Here are some of the benefits of playing computer games. So here we go. Number 1, enhances concentration skills. When you play games, your concentration skills improve. When kids play computer games, their entire concentration and attention are on the game they're playing, as they need to achieve some specific objective of the game, so they play their game with full concentration. Research says that this improves their concentration skills. Interesting.
Very nice.
Number 2, increases brain speed. People who love playing computer games and spend most of their spare time playing different video games are more responsive than other people. It is so because computer games improve their brain's speed. While playing games, people receive several visual and audio stimulations. So they are faster in processing these stimulators than ordinary people. This one was kind of a surprise to me. Good social skills.
Yeah.
I have not experienced great social skills on online games that I play.
Depends on the game, I suppose.
Depends on the game. Many online games indulge the player in some communication with other players for completing a specific task. So these games help develop excellent social skills. Research says that such types of video games help them to grow socially. Those people who play video games are more social and competent in making new friends than ordinary people.
Yeah.
Okay, I suppose. Number 4.
Well, especially now because games are a social thing online. You know, when I was a kid, there was no online gaming. Well, there was, but it wasn't very good. And so, it was considered more of a loner type of activity. Now, I mean, you can barely play a game that doesn't team you up with, anywhere from 3 to however many other people. And communication is essential with a lot of these games nowadays.
Yeah.
If you don't communicate with your team members well, you won't win the game. So I could see that. I like that.
I have noticed that it is weird when you first jump onto a game and you talk to just complete strangers. You have no idea, but most of the time they're pretty nice. Although again, my gaming experience.
Yeah, you can also have horrible experiences with other people.
But then you can just sign off.
Bill and Melinda in the chat says the looters have excellent concentration social skills. LOL.
Number 4, good multitasking abilities. Some games require the player to give full attention to it. They need to be more observant to complete specific tasks in the game. They need to move the mouse and press keys on the keyboard tactfully. So their multitasking abilities are better than those who don't play games, as they can react more tactfully than others. So I think the video gaming has helped me with all the jingle button pressing.
I totally believe that. I'll be playing a game and there's some people in my life who are not necessarily gamers, and they'll watch me play a game and they'll just watch my hands the whole time. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, look at those fingies. So impressive." I
had the same kind of reaction
there, but that's what they say.
I had the same kind of reaction playing the guitar often.
Yeah.
As a young man.
Yeah.
Look at those fingers.
There's some, arguments coming in the chat, specifically from Canary Screamer. Says they're desensitized to violence. That is true, although I will just mention, the whole world is desensitizing us to violence, especially with the riots, the news, the fear mongering, the violence mongering on the news. That desensitizes you to violence. Any TV show, any movie, the whole world is trying to desensitize us to violence. Not that I'm saying that that's a good thing. I'm just saying, I gotta mention it when it comes to defending video games here.
We did talk about how when you play Grand Theft Auto and you walk around, it does feel like
that is a notoriously
real life,
notoriously mean video game. But
yeah. Number 5, better coordination. When a person plays a video game, his concentration on the game as a minor mistake can lead them to lose the game. So when they are playing the game, they are not looking at the computer indolently on the computer screen. Mm-hmm. Such actions in video games improve coordination as the person who is playing the game uses his visual, audio, and physical strengths and stimulations.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, we can say that playing computer games are beneficial for kids and adults in many ways. You're a game lover, blah, blah, blah. So, I suppose that those are, I think most of this surrounds the idea of concentration and focus.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, we're not saying that there's nothing bad to say about video games. Of course there is, but that's been reiterated over a long time, which is evident to the pushback we're getting in chat.
Right. So, yes, there is an element of, I guess, positivity that comes from that, but also I feel like you can learn concentration skills from other means of being outside and catching a ball, and there's other ways to do it too. I suppose it's more boring now that you have this virtual world landscapes.
Well,
and stuff
when you have to save the world by staying inside and wearing a mask, Gons, you can't go out and go into your own backyard when there's a pandemic about.
It's funny. If I toss you a ball, it just hit you right in the googly eyes there. You would not see it coming.
I keep hitting myself in the googly eyes. Yeah. Okay. So video games turning us all into cyborgs. That's great news.
Very slowly but surely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the concentration of the robot is basically what's happening there.
Yeah. Very good. Yep. All right. Let's head over to Daily Mail. What do you say?
COVID.
That's right. Here we go. Daily Mail article. Poor harvest. Mysterious 200-foot COVID crop circle appears in Wiltshire farmer's barley field. Yeah, we hadn't heard a lot about COVID during the riots, Gons, but here we go, making a big statement. The aliens leaving us a crop circle. A 200-foot wide crop circle shaped like a COVID virus has mysteriously appeared in a farmer's field this week. The unusual crop formation was discovered on Friday in the Wiltshire countryside. The county said to be the epicenter of crop circle tourism as the start of the new crop circle season begins. Pictures of the detailed design found in an agricultural barley field said to measure approximately 200 feet by 130 feet were shared on social media. We got nice overhead drone shots there. In response to the eye-catching drone snapshots, Heather Barsby said, quote, "Those aliens are risking it a bit coming here during a pandemic. And surely they should go into 2 weeks of quarantine as well before playing in the crops." Heather. Oh, Heather Barsby. Such a funny one we got there. Richard Marshall added, "I hope they didn't travel more than 5 miles. At least we can be fairly confident there weren't more than 6 of them from no more than 2 households." Okay, we're having fun. We're having fun here. The exact location of the field has not been revealed to avoid visitors walking there, and it is not known how it was made. Well, that's not true. We all know how it was made. The sudden appearance of crop circles and their intricate designs has led several theories about how they were formed. Sightings of crop circles date back hundreds of years in Europe, with some people believing they are the result of UFOs or spaceships landing in fields and flattening the crops. In the opposing camp, people firmly believe the large designs are man-made, often causing tension between the two groups.
Always tension.
Always tension. Everything's got to cause tension nowadays, huh?
Yeah, well, I saw in the chat already, people bring up that directed energy weapons can already do this kind of thing. Yeah, so there's probably some of that going on. If
also,
not,
a farmer with a board and a rope can also make it. But
well, he would have to be very coordinated with a few other people to do it.
Impossible. Conspiracies can't exist, Gons, because people can't get along like that.
Well, I'm saying, yeah. If it was a coordinated effort and they knew what they were doing, this is certainly possible to do in a couple hours overnight. No one really watching.
But we don't want to kill the magic, so aliens did it.
Where are the aliens?
They're making crop circles, Elon.
I want to give a shout out to Seeking Truth 777, first time on Twitch. Thanks for being here.
All right.
Okay, what else we got? Oh, this one I'm excited about. Mind if I take this next one?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me find the jingle for it. Where is this jingle? Yeah, that's the other problem. I can't always.
Oh, come on, Gonzo.
Jingle.
You got it. You got it. I believe in you.
Space. Want to go to space?
Want to go to space? Independent.co.uk. Last week, we talked about a study coming out that was saying the sun was falling asleep. Record lack of solar flares, meaning that the sun's energy was calming down, which is a known cycle, but, we're apparently...
Story on TV or on the screen. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
So independent.co.uk says the biggest solar flare in years just came out of the sun and it could be waking up, NASA says. The sun produced its largest solar flare since October 2017 over the weekend, which could be an indication that the sun's solar cycle is becoming more active. Such periods of activity can cause interference with radio equipment or satellites in space. A collection of sunspots, which are dark areas of the sun signifying complex magnetic fields, were spotted by NASA spacecraft on May 29th. A relatively small solar flare came from these sunspots, sending harmful radiation into the atmosphere. This flare, classified as M-class, which represents the middle in terms of solar flare strength, more powerful than C-class flares, but not as powerful as X-class flares, which can cause radio blackouts. Each class is 10 times as powerful as before, divided into 5 classes, A, B, C, M, and X class. Even if a flare reaches X class, there are 10 classifications within that measurement, each 10 times more powerful than the one previously. During the last solar maximum in 2013, the sensors cut out at X28, which is very extreme. This M-class flare did reportedly cause a small radio blackout and was followed by a smaller C-class flare approximately 3 hours later. Over the past 48 hours, it has also been recorded that smaller B-class flares have been seen on the sun too. So there you go. Long story short, Guns, we were just talking about how the sun was in the longest recorded solar minimum literally just last week. And then interesting how this week, after the riots started and continue, we got the solar flares flaring up, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe NASA.
That's crazy talk.
What's the agenda? Why all of a sudden the sun waking up?
Well, what would be the agenda? In the chat, Nephilim Update says it would be a cover story for an EMP. That's probably the most plausible thing that I can think of.
Well, especially during the riots too. It'd be a good way to just
cut out communications.
Yeah. But then all the Antifa people won't be able to coordinate their whole deal.
That's the point, man. Plus, space is fake. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's one big lie, the story. I don't know why you even brought it up.
I was so excited about it. I was so excited because we just heard that the sun was going to sleep, and now the sun's waking up. So I think we'll make it another day, Gonzo.
Is it waking up, or is it just like a night fart?
Wake up, sleepyhead.
Okay, I don't know where to go with that one.
You can just tell us our next story if you want.
The four horsemen of the technopolis.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special.
Yeah, so we wanted to get to this yesterday, but we didn't, so we'll get to it today. And we got a couple stories from the express.co.uk. And this first one, SpaceX launch mystery, multiple UFO sightings during NASA live stream. Thought we were going to get away from NASA, but here they are. Social media frenzy. And we'll play the video on screen here. Multiple mysterious UFOs were spotted by viewers of the SpaceX live stream as the Falcon 9 rocket took 2 NASA astronauts into space. The unusual fast-flying orbs were spotted by several different viewers who posted footage of the different objects on social media.
Gotta love those orbs, man.
I know. The footage of the UFOs has since gone viral and registered thousands of viewers online. And if you're watching the screen, you can kind of tell they do a zoom in because it's kind of hard to see anything just with the normal video. You got to kind of have the zoom in there of looks like a really fast moving object kind of flying through the clouds underneath. The UFO sightings came during the successful, highly anticipated SpaceX launch of NASA astronauts into orbit. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and Mike Pence all watched on in Florida to mark the first time since 2011 that humans had blasted off into orbit from U.S. soil. The 2 astronauts, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, on board the Dragon spacecraft were sent to the ISS. However, during the live video feed streamed from the rocket itself, several bizarre flying objects were spotted hovering above Earth. Viewers remarked that there were several moving objects seen while watching the live stream. Once again, just repeating over and over again with these articles. One viewer questioned, quote, "How are they going to explain all of these now?"
We got you. We finally got you.
Another said, quote, "I saw 2 events similar to this one when I saw it live. That seemed even more conspicuous than this example. Glad others noticed it too." He knows the truth. In one video, a bizarre orb can be seen beneath the rocket moving across Earth at a rapid pace. In another clip, a strange UFO was recorded seeming to leave Earth and move deeper into space before vanishing.
Ooh.
A third viewer said, quote, "After the launch of SpaceX's Falcon 9 Dragon crew demo, an object from Earth to space is rapidly launched in the 14th minute of the stream. And this is this a UFO?
Make that font bigger, old man.
It's fine. A space junk.
It's a space junk.
I know. Or a rocket owned piece. However, skeptics dismissed the UFO frenzy, claiming that all of the flying objects may have been debris from the rocket or space junk. So there you go. The debate rages on. But the one that this guy, the second viewer who said he saw an object that seemed even more conspicuous. Wait, there's another one here. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, vanishing into space. Yeah. Moving away from Earth, vanishing into space. That's the thing I've seen multiple times in the sky, where it's like kind of floating there. It looks kind of like a star.
Yeah, you see more UFOs than anybody I know. What? You're looking up, man. You're always looking up.
Well, I am always looking up. But yeah, that's the one I've seen multiple times, where it looks like it's just a star, and then it just goes away. It kind of gets sucked out of the sky. And
we got some chatters here that said they saw it live. Margiver says I saw a UFO when the Dragon detached.
Oh,
yeah,
in the sky or like live.
That's
on
what
video?
they say. I think live on the video.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff there. So that's the first thing. So again, Elon,
where are the aliens?
They're flying away from your SpaceX rocket.
Where
Dragon.
are they? Elon knows something. We need to get that guy on the show.
Yeah, there's a second article here. Do you want to do this one?
No, you got it.
Okay. Another express.co.uk. SpaceX viral clip of a mouse on SpaceX's Falcon 9 splits the internet. It is a mouse. It says here some 10 million people watched SpaceX and NASA launch, blah, blah, blah. We already know about that. A viral video clips shared on social media show how a mysterious object moving around the Falcon red hot engines, leading many to think a tiny mouse got involved in the historic launch. And let me play the video for viewers on the screen. And basically, you got your thruster, and it's really red hot or whatever, burning fire, and right there, right on the part where it connects to the rest of the rocket, is a little critter.
Little critter running around.
Little critter that comes out.
Little Mighty Mouse.
Around, yeah, and goes back over the edge there, and there's a close-up of the shot, and people were freaking out on the internet saying, hey, what's up with that? What's up with the mouse?
There's a mouse who can both withstand the freezing cold of space and the incredibly high temperatures of a rocket engine.
That's why he's a genetically modified mouse.
What? What say you?
Reporting on the genetically modified mice the last couple episodes here. One person said, quote, "Barn girl here, walks like a mouse, talks like a mouse, looks like a mouse. It is a mouse." I don't know how she got the talking. I don't know.
I don't follow the logic, but I get the point.
Another one said, "I knew the 11 seconds clips were odd. Mouse, mouse, mouse." and another one said, "Save this. Get it to someone. I want to know what the heck is going on.
Gotta save this mouse, man." Yeah, we got to.
Trump doing? I trust him now. What?
What is Trump doing? Why did Trump put a mouse on the spacecraft? Oh, that guy. He's responsible for everything.
Another Twitter user, "Oh man, poor little guy. Wonder how long he lasted. Maybe he held on until breakaway." Third person added, a third person. So that's like, I just read like 5 quotes there. "If it was truly in outer space, then how did the mouse remain tethered to the rocket and not go away?"
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe the rocket's not even in space. Maybe it's in a sound studio in Hollywood.
"Why wasn't it scorched to death by the intense heat? This is clearly a hoax."
Hoax mouse.
However, the discovery has split the internet, with many people claiming it was a piece of ice or foil that broke off during the launch. Others have suggested it is a chunk of solid oxygen that vacuum froze when liquid oxygen vented from the Falcon 9 in space. And there's actually older footage of the SpaceX rocket launch that has a similar type of like critter that goes across that exact same spot.
Right.
And people are saying it's like water, not water, but some kind of
liquid, something or other.
Liquid debris that forms and is, I don't know, whatever.
It's a mouse.
I say it's a mouse.
GMO mouse. They're taking over, baby.
And this is a spaceflightnow.com article from November 3rd, 2019. SpaceX cargo mission combines mighty mice, fires, and beer research. So clearly, they were, and the article states here, a nest of genetically engineered mice, a research study to observe the behavior of fires in space, and an experiment that could lead to brewing beer and microgravity are among the more than 5,700 pounds of cargo inside of SpaceX Dragon capsule awaiting launch. This is again back in December. So they publicly admitted that there's genetically engineered mice that are already in space. Maybe he was just, they're
up there colonizing the moon with the wormicorn tardigrades up there.
Yeah. And Mighty Mouse was a documentary.
Well, Gons, speaking of Elon, I gotta say, speak of the beast system.
Oh, jingle coming in a second.
Speaking of the beast system. Beast system.
There you go. This is from MSN.com. Grimes, who, as we all know, is Elon Musk's girlfriend and baby mama now. And,
partner back.
Sorry, yeah.
He refers to her as partner.
Partner, yes.
You don't live in these days of wives and husbands anymore.
I can't dead name her. Let's see here. Grimes, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So weeks after she had her baby there with Elon Musk, this headline comes out. Grimes is legally selling a part of her soul. Ooh. Interesting. Grimes is legally selling a part of her soul in an auction. The 32-year-old singer who welcomed her and Elon Musk's son, Ash, what is it? Archangel.
Archangel.
Yes. Yeah. Ash Archangel earlier this month has put up a legal document for sale as part of her online art exhibition with bids starting at $10 million to own a piece of her soul. She explained, quote, "I didn't want anyone to buy it, so I said we should just make it $10 million and then it probably won't sell. The deeper we got with it, the more philosophically interesting it became. Also, I really wanted to collaborate with my lawyer on art. The idea of fantastical art in the form of legal documents just seems very intriguing to me. Elsewhere for sale includes a print illustration titled Selden Crisis, which has been listed for $500 in the auction. The You'll Miss Me When I'm Not Around singer also admitted she has been doing fine art for a long time, way before she even started songwriting and penning hit tracks. Of her art, she told Bloomberg, quote, "I made art 10, 12 years before I ever touched a keyboard. I see myself as a visual artist first and foremost, and I've always felt strange that people know me for music." Meanwhile, Grimes previously created a digital version of herself so that she can still perform without having to physically be present. She said, quote, "Having a digital body allows me to keep working throughout the later stages of my pregnancy. And after I have my baby, so I can spend more time with them. A lot of my friends aren't having babies because they're worried about their careers. And we wanted to find a way to overcome this issue." So there you go. Grimes selling a piece of her soul. Now, this needs to be mentioned. This is not the first time somebody has put up their soul for auction. There was actually somebody's soul that was sold on eBay. This was a long time ago. I don't even remember when exactly, but I think I was
millennial.
Long time ago. Somebody put their soul up on eBay that sold, and that's actually what caused eBay to put the clause in their rules saying that you have to sell an actual tangible item, which, you know, gives their bias on the soul as well. But this is actually just...
How dare you say my soul is not tangible, eBay?
She's just selling a piece of her soul, not the whole thing. So she's holding on to some of her most important assets there, but trying to liquidate for $10 million cash. So that'll be interesting to see if that sells. But also, kind of a spooky thing. Let me go back down to the article. There was something I wanted to point out. Oh, yeah. When she's talking about, here we go, the deeper we got with it, the more philosophically interesting it became. Also, I really wanted to collaborate with my lawyer on art. The idea of fantastical art in the form of legal documents just seems very intriguing to me. And this is something that I've been kind of harping on. I got to lift my thing.
Oh, you showed your face.
Almost. The idea of legal documents being based around the philosophy of magic, with a K. There's the way the law works and the way that legal documents are written up actually have a lot of similarities with some magical practices. Yes. As well as the sort of the belief in law and the authority attached to it, garnering power for legal documents and agreements. But also very interesting because, as she's talking about here, philosophically making the art, the legal document itself being a piece of art. This is very interesting.
Well, a couple things. First off,
most modeling is kind of acting like a beast, but making it fashion. But then make it fashion.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But also, I found it interesting that she didn't want anyone to buy it, so she would sell it for $10 million, which would just have all the creepy rich people looking into buying.
It's just getting the rich. Yeah, it's going after the wrong market there. The people who would actually want to buy the soul and use it for some sort of ritual, whatever that means.
Yeah, the lizard people come in and no problem. Print.
Lizard people. That's funny.
Anyway,
so
the other part of it was her digital body, having a digital body allowing her to perform and stuff. That's the idea of a proxy, and that's going to become a bigger thing, I think, to, a proxy of yourself that, does all the things for you. And I always, every once in a while, I reference a book called the Atopia Chronicles. It's a fiction book.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, basically people are living out all kinds of virtual lives, and they actually, have a proxy, and they let the proxy take over the physical, your normal body. And so your normal body is just sitting there kind of zoning out, and it does the basics. It eats, and it goes to the restroom, and it, lays down or whatever to rest. Meanwhile, in your mind, you're able to go travel around to the different, virtual worlds and have different experiences and whatnot. And it's the idea of having that difference, having a backup to your body, where it's the flip of this. This is like actually creating a digital copy to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that's kind of the direction they want to take it with all this digital copying of the body, digital copy of yourself, and doing work for you in the virtual space. So just reminded me of that whole thing. Not to mention the first story we had about the AI bot from like the movie Her or whatever that talks to you and stuff.
Yeah. And
similar.
You can love almost like replica.ai.
Well, that's, Elon's going to come out there and be like, hey, we're all connected. You can talk to my wife 24/7, or partner. You can talk to my partner 24/7 through her digital proxy.
Right.
That's going to become more of a creepy thing, I think, for the creepy crowd. Because obviously, the Hollywood whole thing is kind of changing right now. But
gotta love those creepers. I think I'm finally starting to experience the virtual reality nausea that I keep getting ads for a little bracelet that will cure me. I might have to get one. I'm starting to get a little woozy in here.
That bracelet is come on. That's not.
Did you ever get into the copper bracelet thing?
I never got into it, but I remember it and calling it a scam.
Yeah, there's a while there where copper bracelets and magnet bracelets and things like that were always, being sold to help you with whatever. What I don't even really remember what they were for. Lose 10 pounds by wearing this copper bracelet.
Or like balance or something.
Yes, balance. There's the balance bracelets, all sorts of stuff.
A bunch of NBA players were wearing it. It makes me play better.
Yeah. It's good marketing.
It is good marketing. I'm sure they sold a lot of those little pieces of plastic, and they were expensive too. I remember they were like 20-something bucks for each one. And it's like, wow, really? And I think they got sued as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember that, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because for false advertising or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's see here. Ooh, we made it to number 2 on the Twitch podcast rankings there.
All right.
That's cool.
Very cool.
We're currently sitting at number 2. Of course, it's during the end of the show here. That's okay. We want to take a quick second. Don't go anywhere. We got a couple of stories after this, but I want to thank a couple more Twitch followers and thank some of our new patrons. Gonz, you got your dinger ready?
Yes, I hate it when you ask me that, but yes, dinger is ready.
Okay, we got let's see, Shoot Oh no, no. We got a user Shoot B line Gates. There we go. And Seeking Truth 777. Of course, gave you a shout out before, but there you go. Another Twitch follower, Jas Fajitas, and Lord Help Us Tampa. Those are our new Twitch followers. Thank you guys so much for being here and helping us over on Twitch. And thank everybody for watching on Twitch. And just so everybody knows, remember, we are a value for value show. We don't believe in the practice of gaining your trust and your attention and then turning around and selling that all to a corporation for our own personal gain. So we've got some wonderful financial helpers on the show. It's the only way we can keep the show going. And you can do that by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT. Again, that's patreon.com/CCNT. And a couple of shout outs. Gonz, grab your gonger.
I do have my gonger as well.
You got your gonger. I want to give a big old thank you to Mary J. Thank you, Mary J. We also got Kenneth T.
What happened? Where's my gonger?
Kenneth T. Thank you very much. Those are the 2 new supporters over on the Canary Cry News Talk Patreon. That's patreon.com/CCNT. We also have a Patreon for Canary Cry Radio.
Yes.
And do you have that up?
I do.
Okay.
We have
what do you got?
A new pledge from Ciara.
Ciara. Thank you very much, Ciara.
And if I'm not, I'm trying to think if it's the same. Yeah, I think this is the same Ciara that gave us the art. Yeah, Ciara. Thank you, Ciara.
Very good.
The art.
And
fantastic.
I see in the chat here, sorry for Twitch viewers that I didn't give you a call out. You know, I just read them from the list here, so it might not have updated yet. But we have Viva la Resistance 2020. Thanks for jumping over here to Twitch and helping us out. Okay.
And also from PayPal, we do have a gift from Lynn and also Regina. So thank you, Lynn
and Regina. That's right. So remember, we are a value for value proposition. If you have been watching the show and you get any value out of it, you have the opportunity to put some value back in. If you don't get value out of the show, you know, what am I going to do? I guess you don't got to give value back. But if you've been watching one show or 10 shows or 100 shows, remember that the show can only keep going through the production help, the producers that help pay for the show. And so thank you guys so much. You can join in that club by going to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. Or if you don't like Patreon, I know a lot of people don't like Patreon, you can go to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right, canarycryradio.com/support. There's other ways to help the show out. You can join up on PayPal with a recurring donation or make one-time donations over there. Also, I believe do we have our mailing address up over there, or is that changing?
I don't know.
Okay.
It might be changing.
We'll figure that out. I know some people like to send checks. We'll have a new address for you to send those checks to here soon. So keep posted on that. But also at canarycryradio.com/support, you can also give with cryptocurrency and fun stuff like that. So thank you very much to all the producers who help us out with that. We truly could not do the show without you. And so make sure to, keep giving value back into the system if you're able to do that, because it takes a whole village, a whole tribe of people to make this show happen. Also, there's other great ways to support the show that are not financial. If that's not in the cards for you, we totally understand. You can help the show out by leaving ratings and reviews on wherever you watch or listen to the show. Give a thumbs up on YouTube. If you listen to the podcast version, you can leave a rating and a review. Really helps people find the show on iTunes and other podcast apps. And just a note here. A lot of times our stream will get cut off, or the video will disappear, will get censored or something like that. If you want a backup to make sure you always get the show with the highest quality, this is the key too. If quality is your thing, the highest audio quality way to listen to the show is not live, but follow the podcast feed on the Apple Podcast app or Stitcher or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. After every live show, we put up the show on the podcast feed, and we have much better audio quality there because that's just the way the internet works. But
so long as my stuff doesn't fall apart like it did today.
Yeah, and everybody should be doing that. It's a good backup if we're not able to stream the show for whatever reasons, whether it's technical difficulties or censorship or something like that. You can always listen to the show in perfect quality over on the RSS feed. Just go to a podcatcher and search Canary Cry News Talk. And also check out Canary Cry Radio. A lot of new listeners aren't aware. We actually have two different shows. Canary Cry Radio is a show that we've been doing for 8 years now. It's more of a topic-based or an interview-based show, a little bit different. And Canary Cry News Talk is what you're watching right now, what you're listening to right now. And it's based off of current events and news stories of the day, in the context of all the same stuff we talk about on both channels. So make sure to check that out. Also, make sure to check out the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. A lot of great work Gonz has done over there, over 900 videos. And you can check out my other podcast called The Joyspiracy Theory. And a lot of times getting into all these funky, fringy topics, it can get a little depressing. So I started The Joyspiracy Theory, where I talk to listeners just like you who have been listening to all of our shows for a while, and we talk about and document their life experiences, their experiences getting into conspiracy theories, but also a lot of crazy, really important stories about people living their lives and, finding Jesus and drug problems and all sorts of fun stuff. There's something for everybody over there, and you can find that on your YouTube or your podcast player. Just search The Joyspiracy Theory. It's like conspiracy theory, only with joy. There you go. Check that out. Okay. Anything else before we hit our last couple stories here, Gonz?
I'm ready.
5G kills humans.
Oh, I forgot about that whole debate. 5G. 5G. There you go.
Did you hear 5G this time?
And I know I still heard 3G, but that's okay. I've submitted myself to the to the fact that it says 5G. And that's another great listener submitted jingle. So there you go. We'll make more jingles. You want to do this one, or is this one for me?
Let's see. What's the other one? What's the other story that I had? Yeah, I'll do this one. Sure.
Okay.
This is CNET.com. 5G myths debunked. 5G doesn't cause COVID-19 and won't replace 4G. Of course, based on all that conspiracy talk there, we'll see what they have to say here. The next generation of high-speed mobile data known as 5G is live in many countries, including the US, the UK, and Australia. But as the new network rolls out, many misconceptions and confusion around the technology remain. Most recently, conspiracy theorists have tried linking 5G with the COVID-19 pandemic. This has resulted in people burning cell towers and many social media platforms, including Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, scrambling to curb the spread of this misinformation. This isn't completely surprising. 5G will have an impact on many people's lives around the world, so there are understandably still a lot of questions being asked. Not only will these 5G networks connect users to a super fast mobile network, but entire industries will benefit from the faster connectivity of 5G as well, like self-driving cars, drones, and the Internet of Things, all just terrifying objects.
The Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things. As the 5G rollout continues throughout 2020, it's predicted that there will be 1 billion 5G customers by 2023.
Wow.
To learn more about 5G, we're debunking a few 5G myths. And if you want to know more about 5G in general, read our frequently asked questions, everything you need to know about the 5G revolution.
Wow, I got to debunk the myths.
Yeah, this is really funny. Is 5G safe? One of the biggest concerns people have about 5G is that the network's radio frequency will be unsafe, expose people to radiation, and cause cancer.
Sounds
fears,
right.
The fears aren't completely unfounded.
Oh, that's funny.
I know. A 2011 report from the World Health Organization suggested that cell phone radiation should be listed as, quote, possibly carcinogenic to humans. In 2016, a study funded by the U.S. government showed a link between radio frequency radiation and cancers in rats. And popular phones like the iPhone and Galaxy handsets may exceed the level of radio frequency radiation allowed by the FCC. So, okay, before we go on, debunking all the fears, but just remember, there's some legit concerns for fearing 5G.
Well, it's nice of them to actually
according to the
admit
article.
that.
But then they go the other way. But the link between cancer and phones may be overstated. For one thing, a number of things that we encounter every day are considered to be carcinogenic hazards to some degree, including diesel fuel, aloe vera, and pickled food.
So their argument is it's okay if it gives you cancer because pickles give you cancer?
Other things give you cancer. The aforementioned 2016 study also exposed male rats to levels of radiation that exceeded radiation levels that humans would come across from their cell phones. We're not talking about cell phones, we're talking about 5G. Though it's too early to be 100% confident, we do know that on August 8th, after more than 6 years of research and review, FCC Chairman Ajit Pai circulated a proposal to deem cell phones, including ones that use 5G, as safe. As CNET senior writer Maggie Reardon reported, that includes, quote, current exposure levels for cell phones, wireless towers, Wi-Fi routers, and all other devices emitting RF signals. And of course, in addition, quote, agency officials don't have any concern for new gear using 5G technology, including gear that uses millimeter wavelength frequencies. And I think the millimeter wavelength frequencies is the stuff that in laboratories was shown to like detangle DNA or something. So
yeah, well, and that's what 5G is, isn't it?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's why people are concerned. And then it goes into the COVID-19 thing, which I don't think we necessarily have to get into because
I think everybody's aware of that.
5G, and we get it. He wants to depopulate the world and yada, yada, yada. We know it's fake news. Will 5G replace 4G? Will I need a new phone? While you will need a 5G phone to access a 5G network, it doesn't mean you need one to reap some of the speed benefits. In fact, as the next gen network rolls out, you may experience faster speeds on 4G as well. More on that below. In addition, 5G is not replacing 4G altogether. Rather, it's building on top of existing 4G networks. All major carriers in the US and around the world are a ways away from a solid network-wide rollout. Even if 5G is available in your area, your phone isn't obsolete just yet. It will still work perfectly fine on 4G. So, good thing you don't have to change your stuff yet.
In other news, Gons, Bill and Melinda on Twitch says CNN reporting long exposure to Canary Cry radio causes skin cancer. That might be true. And I didn't realize this before, but there's a YouTube user named I Love Africa, y'all. And I didn't make
him before.
I didn't make the connection, but then I saw his their avatar is Bill Gates, and he says, "People, my vaccines protect you from the harms of 5G." So he loves Africa, and his vaccines will protect you from 5G.
Yep. But will my current phone be faster? Yeah, it'll be a little faster and blah, blah, blah. So, I don't think this article really came through with debunking the concerns about 5G.
It came with a very moderate debunking. Just quick, Tontab 3 on YouTube, our Twitch, search Canary Cry Radio, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. That's our Twitch. And I just wanted to take a second and make sure I get that out there because I'll do whatever it takes to get you to come over to Twitch from YouTube.
Looks like my chat little thing stopped working because I sent a chat and nothing showed up.
Oh, no.
Things stopped working here today.
Oh, no, it's happening.
I spoke bad of the 5G. They started to lock down.
It's interesting with this whole 5G thing. I've been, I have this dream that if I can figure out the stock market, then, we won't have to work or rely on,
you lazy millennial
donations
don't want to work.
I know. That's my dream. If I could just figure out cryptocurrency and stock market enough to where I can just get that. Anyways, there's a huge push towards 5G stocks right now. And they say the inflection point, the point which 5G will officially take over, will be in September. So
this year?
Yeah, of this year. So we've got about 3 months until the 5G takeover.
Not financial advice, by the way. Anyone thinking about investing in 5G companies? I always get the reports because I have 5G as one of my tagged topics or whatever, Google Trend topics. And over half the articles are, 5G
companies. Yeah.
So
yeah, well, who knows? If I missed that train, it wouldn't be the first.
Missed a lot of trains.
Yeah. Okay, I got one last little thing for you, Gons.
What's the jingle for this? Oh, it's one of my favorite jingles. That do I still have it? Let me see if I have it here.
You better. I know.
I think I have part of it.
He's a Satanist.
Okay. Are you trying to find
Want me to play the whole thing? It's 5 seconds here.
Yeah, go for it.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
There you go. This is on metro.co.uk. Britain's Got Talent viewers stunned by singing Devil's incredible voice. This guy made it onto the art for today's show. Who'd have thought Dev had the audience and judges baffled when he took the stage in a full devil costume, informing Simon Cowell that he'd message his little demons in a group chat if he got through. However, he had people stunned with his gorgeous rendition of Queen's I Want to Break Free. Quote, "You're certainly the best singing devil we've had on today, and you're very horny as well." Oh, geez, Simon.
Oh, good.
With Amanda Holden adding, "I had no idea the devil was so talented." Alicia added, "You've got a very good voice." Yeah, good one, Alicia.
Want to hear a few seconds of the devil
let's hear
singing
him. What
here?
did he sound like?
Let's judge the devil here. God knows I want to break free.
Ah, very good.
The devil singing it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Britain's Got Talent. You got the devil on TV wooing the masses as the angel of music. There on live television. One viewer raved, "He's the devil, but he's got a voice like an angel," while another pointed out, "Who knew the devil had such a great voice?" Another viewer made the very valid point, "Would be peak 2020 if the devil wins BGT, Britain's Got Talent, but he has always had the best tunes. Wouldn't it just?" And then it goes into some other stuff on the show. There you go. I don't know. I mean, if we want to get conspiracy-y about this, Gons, there got a little desensitization having the angel of music or the devil singing on Britain's Got Talent. Getting a lot of compliments there, Gons.
Yeah, and for those unfamiliar, Ezekiel 28:13 talks about it's a section about the lament over the king of Tyre. However, there's a section, many commentators believe that this actually starts talking about Satan, or the devil. And in verse 13, I'm going to read the New King James, but the King James has something similar. The second half there, it says, "The workmanship of your timbrels and pipes was prepared for you on the day you were created," leading many people who study the Bible and whatnot to suggest that the former head of the worship team there in heaven was the Satan, the Nakash.
Yes, so, Satan being the name of the office, more like.
Adversary.
Yes. Well, I had a thing in chat I wanted to read. Oh, somebody in chat in YouTube says, the devil suit is a gimmick. You mean there's not the actual devil singing? All right, I get it. It's a gimmick, of course. We know it's a gimmick. Jeez.
We take back everything. The devil is not here.
Such low expectations of us. That's nice. All right, there you go. That's it. That's all I got. You got anything else for the end of the show?
I don't. I think we're out of.
That's it. I think we stretched this one. Wow, we're close to 2.5 hours here. That's nice. Nice long show. We're going to be trying to, now we have to hit some goals over on Twitch for length of streams. So we're going nice and long for everybody here. But I think that's about it. Now, here's the thing, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We usually will be broadcasting on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's 3 shows a week. This week, it might be 4. We're still going to be trying to do our show tomorrow. That's 3 shows in a row, Gons. That's wild. So make sure to tune in on Wednesday and Friday of this week. We'll be starting sometime between noon and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So put that on your calendars right now. You don't want to miss those shows. We are going to be keeping track of all the things we keep track of and keep you abreast of the Devil's Britain's Got Talent career. We'll be figuring that out for you. But here's the thing, folks. We are
if he's going to come out in another suit, or if he's going to stay like one kind of devil, or if he's going to come out with like a different devil look.
Come back to Canary Cry News Talk to find out. Find out all the juicy gossip. So here's the thing, folks. Remember, you can support the show financially by going to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. You can also go to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And there you can sign up on PayPal for recurring donations or make a one-time donation, give some cryptocurrency, however you want to do it. Great ways to support the show, become a producer. And also remember, make sure to make us some jingles. Still waiting for that mama jingle to come through and we can play it on the show for you. And if you're an artist of any kind, go ahead and send your art related to the show to canarycryradio at gmail.com. Make sure to do that. We love getting that. We'll show it on the show. And remember to subscribe to the podcast version of the show. Go to whatever podcatcher you use and search Canary Cry News Talk or Canary Cry Radio. All great ways to support the show, as well as leaving ratings and reviews. I want to see at least 5 ratings and reviews by the next show. We haven't gotten those in a while, and it's really important to get those. So it helps spread the show, tells the iTunes robots to share it around. So go to whatever podcast player you use and leave a rating and a review. That would help us out a whole bunch. But more importantly, everybody, y'all have friends and loved ones who are getting their news from the mainstream, or God forbid, their Facebook walls. And here's the thing. You got to walk right up to them. You got to grab them by the cage, and then you got to shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never.
human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, ask Noah. Oh my gosh, Guns, and I'm coming in with some hot news right now. At the end of the show, we have made it to number 1 on the Twitch talk show and podcast list. Oh man, what a great way to end the show. Very happy about that. Thank you everybody who watches on Twitch and shares the show. We finally did it. We're number 1. We're number 1. That's great. That's great.
And we gotta sign off.
And we gotta sign off. So we'll end the show at number 1. I'm gonna go ahead and print screen that. And there you go, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, sometime between noon and 5. And remember, if you follow us on Twitch, Twitch does a great job of sending notifications out when we do go live. So if you're sad...
YouTube does not.
Yeah, YouTube does not do that. So if you want notifications to come when we go live on the show, follow us on Twitch. Go to twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. It's a great way to do it. And there, we're number 1, baby. Love it. All right, everybody. Make sure to tune in next time to Canary Cry News Talk. But until then, all together now, think outside the cage.
I got to tell you. I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.